Need approval of the minutes?
Yeah. Someone
Need
Second.
motion, thank you.
said a motion, yeah. Somebody asked me about Robert.
We did talk about that, and we
Right,
said
and it's
no.
like, we take, this is the only action for all
The-
intents and purposes we take.
The only thing I saw in the minutes was that it indicated we're going to 7:30 PM
Instead of 6:30.
instead of 6:30.
Oh, that would be me.
Happy to do it,
You said that
but I know we
earlier.
told,
I don't know
we
what
talked
you're
about it, said 5 to 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30.
Yeah, no,
Like
it's
6:31 at the
I even
latest.
just said to my husband, pick me up at 7:30, it's like,
doing. She said that, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I did see, that was the only thing I saw.
It does say 7:30.
all right, let's fix that.
6.3.
Yep.
Suzette called me Kevin when she responded to one of my emails. I was called
Kind
a
of
lot
look like
worse.
it, kind of look like
I've
it,
been
Kevin.
called a lot worse than Bob.
At 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, yeah, with those corrections, anybody else have corrections? Did I spell everybody's name correctly?
Surprisingly, yeah.
There's some challenging ones in this script. All right. So we can, I think we can just go by consensus that we're ready to roll.
We're ready to roll.
Let's do it.
Minutes are approved.
Okay, so the first thing that's on the agenda was to,
I'm going back here.
reading the wrong agenda.
Here we go.
In a minute. That's
Here's
not
the real
helpful.
one.
There we go.
I'm gonna get the minutes exited.
So I sent you copies of my interpretation of all of the work that you did on the meeting norms. And so I'm just checking to make sure that I captured it. And if there's not, something missing that needs to go in there. So anybody have any comments or you want time to look at them?
I thought it looked good.
I agree, I think you did a great job summarizing it.
Thank you.
This
I
category.
used lots of different resources trying to pull it together and
It's
try to
our
keep
job.
it at 4 or, 5
It's
at the
fine.
most, but.
It's very clean and concise as well. It's just like, yeah.
Thank you. Well, I think with your approval that I'm gonna, I have Christie putting the charge at the bottom of each one of the agendas, but I think I'm gonna add the norms. I used to put them on the back, and I think we'll be short enough, because she took a lot of the, her other stuff that's up here. So I think there'd be room to have both, and I think it's always good to have them close by. So that's something we should probably, we'll bring it to consensus. We can bring it up again toward the end of the meeting if anybody has an issue.
I think it's a
but-
great idea, I think we should do that.
Okay.
I think having the charge and
Yep.
our guiding principles would be really helpful in every correspondence.
Perfect.
Yeah, I like the charge at the bottom, just a
Same.
reminder.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, every time I read it, I'm like, okay, that's our charge.
Yeah, it's just, and they're right there. It's like, because I think, for this to work the way it needs to work and for us to all be happy with it and in and out at the right time, we have to be brave enough to, and I'm brave enough,
I agree.
to call people on it. But, yeah, no, it's, you've spent some good time thinking about it, so that's great. So that's not it. What you have up there is not it.
Keep going.
Thank
That's not the right, that's not even close. Hang on.
Where should I?
I sent it in an email.
Communication.
Yes. Look
Wait,
at it.
open
It's in
my
supporting
email.
documents.
Supporting document. I was like, if we go in my email, it's a long.
It's in
This
Yeah,
one.
the bottom. There.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it. This one?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So we're saying
So are we
adopted.
good? All right, we're good. That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Use the clear agenda, let me see, boarding over scheduling, yeah, coming prepared and informed by completing assigned tasks and reviewing the agenda before the meeting, monitoring emails. Yeah, the email stuff is just, did everybody get the agenda from Christie? And everybody got it? Because I asked her to make sure, because we had some problems with that in the past.
I just didn't know if we need to add 5 break snacks.
Well, I know, it's not on there, but
or road
It was
trip.
in the email.
it was in the email.
I saw that.
Because Megan very kindly
Yeah, I was like,
shot
we
me
need
back
to.
an email.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah, no,
It was like, the most important part. All right, well, we'll adjust these and make put today's date on the adopted and
Okay.
call it a day. So, now, with the agenda, there's a question that I have for you that will make a difference in how we proceed. It was very unfortunate that we couldn't meet 2 weeks ago, because we wouldn't be jammed up, like, jammed up today, but it was just one of those, yeah, it's been a winter. So, so here's the question, and Patrick and I had a conversation about this earlier this week, I guess. And the question is, do you want to try to have some kind of a survey or something ready for your town meetings? Because if you do, I think it's doable tonight. If you are willing to use the RUD community survey just as a jumping off place. Not, we're gonna go through each of those questions to make sure that it is on your list of things that you wanna know. And if there's something missing, then the idea would be to put it in. But it will take us the majority of the meeting to do that. So talk to me about trying to do something. What would happen with it, we would have paper copies. We've already, and this isn't pressured, this is just if you want to do this, we have to move quickly. Mary got us a QR code, so, because ultimately there'll be postcards that go out for the entire community, the folks that don't come to town meeting. There'll be postcards that go out in a couple, probably 2 weeks. And so there'll be a QR code available to folks at town meeting if they would prefer to do it that way, or there would be paper copies of the survey with instructions on how to get it back. So, but it's really your call. We're gonna put our nose to the grindstone if this is something you're interested in doing. Yes, ma'am.
Just quickly, we'll be able to get the postcard sent out before town meeting day? No.
The
So
survey
which
would
is-
come first,
So
right?
yes.
And then the postcard would come
Oh,
after
right.
town meeting.
Yeah, postcard. And we could put something out there, you know, it'll also involve somebody volunteering to be at both, one person at one meeting, one person at the other meeting, just to sort of manage the surveys.
And Rochester's town meeting is Monday,
Monday night.
so it's
Monday,
not
yeah.
the regular Tuesday.
The town report's already out, but the
So
meeting
it's going, we
Just
just
a-
need
a
somebody to
Monday
manage
loss.
that. But yeah, no, the postcard would be going, and I think, you know, that would be,
Or if something just goes.
we didn't. You know, I just think the postcards end up going out, and I actually have a draft of that as a possibility also. That's kind of the last thing. But it talks about our mission and, you know, what it is we've been charged to do and why this is happening. And here's your QR code, and if you want one mailed, who do you call? Lindy's gonna make sure that that's all taken care of, and there'll be a, you know, self-addressed stamped envelope, whole 9 yards. So we could do this.
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea.
Everybody all
I
right?
agree. Could we even have paper copies at town meeting?
Yes,
Like both?
yep.
The more publication we get out, I think Patrick and I were just sidebarring, but sorry for that. That's against our
I was gonna get you.
principles. But I do feel like if we can get any kind of announcement out ahead of town meeting to give people an advance notice that this is something that we're gonna discuss at town meeting and expect them to walk away with, it's just more information,
Yeah.
the better.
Absolutely.
And the postcard serves what purpose?
The postcard would go out to every resident of Stockbridge and Rochester.
Okay.
It would have a QR code on it for someone to scan to actually take the survey online.
Okay, so, but it's not gonna be confusing, because people are gonna have the survey at the town meeting.
Right,
And then a postcard's gonna go out, and people are gonna say, well, they already did the survey.
right.
Isn't that a little confusing? Isn't it better to have the postcard go out to everyone and not rush?
Not if we convey it to the folks at town meeting, that if you filled out the survey here, you
Disregard the
disregard
postcard.
the postcard.
No, but I'm talking about the people who didn't go to the town meeting. All of a sudden, they're gonna have this postcard, and people, you know, everybody knows everybody. They're gonna say, oh, no, I did that at the town meeting. That's done, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm not done.
We can put it,
That's a
we
good
can
point.
see, if we can put it on the,
Yeah, like a deadline.
one sentence on the
Yeah.
postcard
Just so people
that
know they
says,
didn't
if
miss
you,
the boat.
Deadline would take care of
if
that.
you fill this
That's
out,
really good.
you know,
Is the school planning on talking about anything at town meeting already? Like, is there anything that's being covered by,
Not typically.
and then are we,
See-
I feel like it's gonna prompt people to ask questions about what's going on with the school and, you know, so I think if we do put it out there, like, we should be prepared for questions about this reconsolidation of districts and also
That's what.
what's happening with the school.
Sorry, Katie, this isn't what they're voting for.
right, and
We're
this is,
asking them about it and getting their
Right.
opinion
Right.
around it.
But I'm just saying, like, it just opens us up to people asking questions, so I think we should just be prepared for the
Agreed.
the
well,
possibility that it.
and this committee is not prepared really
Right.
to talk about that. You can
Right.
talk about it as individual, residents or board members, or, you know, whatever your agreements are there, but it would be different if this was the school district meeting, which
Yeah.
my understanding is not until May.
Can-
So it's sort of individual.
And that's why I don't understand why it's so important for us to rush to get something out to the town meetings. That's just gonna add to confusion, in my opinion. And I
That's fair.
think that the postcard, you know, they follow up with the postcard, just send the postcard when we're ready, and this can be discussed at the next school board meeting.
But some people
That's-
aren't technologically savvy and might need paper.
That's why they need to send the survey out. I think in one of my comments
You mean the survey
to-
actually sent out rather
One of the
than-
comments in my homework was that you need more than just texts and emails, because there's a certain number of people
Absolutely.
who are not able to respond that way and prefer to do it the old-fashioned way, and I think I used the phrase snail mail
Yeah.
in my homework.
Is there a possibility with the postcard, the QR code, to get on and then for them to make that decision on their own, whether they want to fill it out online or print it out?
Yes.
I think
They
that's
would
the
not
best
print
way
it out,
to do
but they
it,
could-
because if
Can
we
you-
can get them to do it online,
Yeah.
Let me
it's
see-
better
wait,
for
wait,
us,
let me just
because
find
then
it
we
out
can
for a
compile the
second.
information,
Without a doubt.
yeah.
But I was just saying, why send the postcard? Just send a.
No, I don't disagree.
Send a survey,
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
shot,
Yeah.
survey in there, and give the option, once they open up the survey, they can have the QR code, or they can fill it out and return it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hold on.
It's about 20 pages, so it,
It's a lot of
So,
postage.
Do we have,
It's a lot of
that was my follow-up question.
Right, no,
I didn't
no.
get.
but it may be smaller notes.
That's,
I'm not totally on board with a survey, because I would need to see the questions before
We're
I was
gonna
able,
work on those
before I
today.
was even able to give a decision.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see questions on the survey that say, if we close the Stockbridge School District, would you be against that? That's not a good question,
No, it's not.
okay? Because everybody, knee-jerk reaction would be say, I don't want to close this school.
Well, let's wait and look at
Okay.
them, because this is our time to muck with them. You know, it's like,
Yeah, you'll go through.
it's just a place to start rather than starting from scratch.
Okay.
And the other piece, you were asking why we weren't waiting until the school district meeting. Well, we're scheduled to have a report ready to roll in the first week in June.
June 3rd, yeah.
And so not having this community and waiting that long, been there, done that, this is the hardest one to get in and out.
You
The
mean the
school
survey?
district one too, I mean, even if one were to do a survey there,
Survey to the end.
and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get into it, there are certain questions that, you know, in your list of questions, which we'll look at, that you have you sent me and I put them all together. There are some of those questions that are really not appropriate for the community at large. Curriculum, I use that, it's my favorite one. That's about families, that's about the school community, not the community at large. Community at large, unless you happen to be employed, correct me if I'm wrong, would not have very much information about the curriculum that was not hearsay. And a lot of the hearsay is chirping. So, you know, those are not the kinds of questions we would ask. On the other hand, you know, it's fine if a community member that's also a school community member filled out both, that's fine. Because they would have opinions both as a voter and also as a member of the school community. But yeah, I mean, there are some questions, Keith, so brace yourself. But we can talk about whether or not they're, you know, it's the question that you want to ask or not. So here is
that's the front.
the front.
I'm gonna make this bigger.
And all of this can
I
be,
have a quick clarifying question. When we talk about surveys, which stakeholder groups would we survey?
okay, that's later.
Okay.
In this case, we're doing the community at large. That's the
In this
easiest
case.
one. So, and that's the one we're gonna focus on tonight. In this part, we could, see, it says at the bottom, well, I'll give you time to read it. I'll read it for you.
I like the.
We can change the dates.
I think we should, if we're gonna do this, we should put the RSUD engagement, this little, thing in the paper. This, and it'd have to be in the paper by this Tuesday at 10
Agreed.
a.m. 'cause
Agreed.
that's gonna, I think we should, if we're gonna have a survey, we should have, if you wanna pick them up at the town clerk's office, you know, the school, like
Post
make it, yeah, post office, like wherever the most easiest places, but trying to get that information into, cause we got next week and then town meeting's the following week after that, so that would have to go into the, you know, by Tuesday, we have to have that in there.
Would that be a paid ad?
No, it's, if you're not asking to purchase anything, you
Right.
should do just doing a community announcement, you should be good.
But I love that, you know, the preferred paper copy of the survey
Yeah.
saves a lot of
What-
postage.
What did the
Yeah.
front look like again?
Had the rocket.
Nothing, we talked about a
This
picture,
is-
I
yeah,
haven't edited
that's
it
great.
at all.
Yeah,
I was like,
I mean, it's-
wait, it's literally just information. at
And
this
you're talking about changing the date as well to be later, or?
Yeah, I mean, we could, it's just, that,
It does seem
really,
like
it's
a
just,
quick jump, yeah.
Attention grabbing enough. that
I think
somebody's
people
not
would
just
maybe want the
gonna throw it
results
aside.
after, potentially at the school
Right.
meeting,
You know,
potentially to
In
hear
May.
something.
okay.
I don't know.
I still comment that if you want the best results for getting the most people to respond, every time you put an extra step in a process, you lose
Yep.
people automatically. And in this card, the way you have it, you've lost a great amount of people because they have to go out of their way to contact you and then have you send something. Forget about it. You're gonna lose a huge amount of people because that's an extra
So if I'm
step.
understanding you
Cost of
correctly,
mail is probably the same.
what you're suggesting is that we make paper copies and we send
And
paper
right.
copies to all the residents of Rochester.
And Stockbridge,
Stockbridge.
with the option for the people who want to use, their phones,
Would
which I
rather
would
do it
do,
that way.
you'd use the QR. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's the,
It gets,
You have to-
it's got the opportunity for the most feedback.
right, so you have to look at this long term. You can't just say, oh, it's more expensive, so we can't do this. I think if you want to get the true, pulse of the community, you need to make it easy for people. And yes, I know it's gonna cost more money, but to me, it's money well spent. It's like when we spent $2,500 to get out the vote, to get people in Rochester to take the school, that was a good move because we wanted them to take the school.
Right.
We didn't want that back on our, asset page. We wanted that to move. So I think you need to do something along those lines. That's just my opinion. I
No,
mean,
no,
obviously.
well, the other thing is that there's a difference of opinion here. That's not a decision we have to make today. Because we're just talking about what we're gonna make available at town meeting, not what will go out afterwards.
how we-
And then what we can do is ask somebody to get us the actual cost, and I don't know what kind of budget we have, and it just has to be approved.
And did you say
By Jamie, I
25
assume.
pages?
Yeah, 20.
This particular, that was,
This one.
There.
Yeah, I should have said that.
Okay, 'cause I'll tell you what, there are a lot of
You
people who
shouldn't
look at that and go,
Yeah, not that.
Right.
well, it's like two
Good point.
questions.
I'm gonna burn my,
Per
start my
page.
fire tonight, my wood stove with this
Yeah.
25 page.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I just kind of feel people, they're either gonna treat the postcard or the survey the same way, throw it aside or.
That's
do
why
it.
it has to be simple. She has a good point. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You have to make every step simple.
It just can't be.
And that's why you have to pick the questions out that you want, the most important ones. So when they get this, it's one page, turn it over type thing, you're done. Even though you'd like to have more questions, but you've made an excellent point. Totally agree.
Being long, yeah.
Well, let's just see. You have a lot of questions, so.
I think that we need to get in front of the community to let them know what we're doing and what the expectation is out of the survey. So I think telling them that they need to fill a survey, I was like, what do I win?
Well, there's always that, I mean, that is a
The
possibility.
people who are attending town meeting are the people who are most likely to fill out a survey.
Agreed.
You
We
so
need to
it's
say
like-
something about what we're doing and why it's important that they fill this out.
Yeah.
Not, here's the survey, fill it out.
Right, yeah.
Whereas we have paper copies here to hand out, and then after have a stack of copies that are available at the town office, and just send the postcard, you know? I don't know.
So the every door direct mailer, which is the postcard, right? Is there a way to target people in the community that are not in the school? Like,
For
can you
this
break it down?
particular one, yes, there's another sort of set of questions that one would ask the school community that are directly connected to the school.
But are we able to target the actual mailing list? Like, do we have access to sort it by?
No, not really. Stockbridge, each town is a little different in that my closest experience, right, is mailing out the school budget book. It's just not a fun experience, but in the Rochester, it just reads very similar, like every local postal customer. There's fancy language you use basically, and they just put it in every mailbox and PO box. Stockbridge has the same thing, but then there's a list of about 60 residents that maybe their PO box is in Pittsfield or yeah, I think it's both of you. Then we take the label and we slap the label over the postal customer thing, and you just get that from the town clerk. But other than that, there's no like.
It's not targeted.
It's not targeted. I don't know if both town clerks have like a list to make it targeted.
Mailing list?
To whom?
Right, like a mailing list to
But
the
th-
entire.
this is for
People
the
that
general
actually-
community, don't we
Yeah.
need everyone?
But there are so many second homeowners too, like that are maybe not, they don't have as much skin in the
We
game.
just usually.
Are we getting bogged here?
Yeah.
And stuff that doesn't need to
Yeah.
be done tonight?
Okay.
Let's get farther into this, because you may change your minds.
All right.
All right,
What do you want
so
me to
I'd like to
pull up?
put up the questions that, the compilation of all the
This one?
questions that, that's it.
We need a survey before we can decide how we distribute it.
Cart before the horse.
Right, so
Sorry.
up to the top of this. So I put these in different, we're gonna ultimately go over each question, but in the interest of what we may be trying to do with the community, I think we have to decide which one of these categories, there we go, sorry, belongs to the community. So unity across the community, take a look at those questions.
We do have hard copies too.
Yeah, there's a few hard copies if people would rather read them that way.
So we're thinking categories for school, community.
Well, no, right now we're just thinking about the community at large. So my sense is that there are questions in that unity across communities that would be community questions, but that's just my opinion.
Is it a multiple choice survey?
It's lots of things.
So there will be free text, like you can,
Oh, yeah. And then you get to read it all. Communication. Communication, to me, in terms of the community at large, is what do people want, the community at large that don't necessarily have direct connections to the school, what do they want to hear from the schools? You know, what do they want to know about? And how do they want to know about it? You know, what kinds of information would you be interested in learning more about from the schools? That came from your work, but there's a question very similar to that in the survey. Best way to receive information. Are parents receiving information on school-wide initiatives? That's not a community question. That's a school initiative question. So, you know, it's a matter of trying to keep that straight. Finance. There were 3 sections I put under finances. There was voter participation. These are your questions. Again, how do we improve it? Engagement and participation. Should we move to an Australian ballot? I know that that's a 2-part process, 2-year process. Do our voters feel well informed about the school budget and other school items on the ballot when they go to vote? Those are things that would go into a community and a family. Maybe it would be both. Some of these questions are going to appear in more than one. Attracting students from other towns. I don't know if this belongs in a community or not, or whether it's just a school community. And the same thing for School choice, do you see value in school choice for Stockbridge students attending grades 7 through 12? This was something that came out of your work. Who knows the answer to that? I mean, who has a stake in that? I mean, it is a financial question,
It's also parents.
but if it was a financial question for the community, it would need more explanation as to
Yeah,
what is
And it's
that?
definitely a
What
financial
is
question
that?
for the
But
community.
it's a thing, yeah.
Because it costs the
So
community
moving
extra
on
money.
up.
But value can also be construed whether or not it's good for the families and
Oh, it'll go in there.
kids.
Yeah, no, for sure. And facilities, this was, these are, a couple of them are, I think community questions and is running 2 campuses fiscally viable? That's like, without numbers and without, it's a really good question, but it doesn't belong on a
Right,
survey.
Exactly.
So, but it's a question that you want answered, so it's there. Are we being responsible guardians of our public resources? That might be a community question. Do they think you're spending the money the way it ought to be spent? And then, best futures of the schools. And some of this is, would voters consider closing one of the campuses to reduce costs? There are some questions in the survey that we're gonna use just as a base that we spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out how to elicit that information. So we'll see if you like that or whether you want it out of there or you want to do it differently. Do you see value in offering pre-K through 6? It's a great question. I think it's more for personally, and this is just me yippee-yapping, but for the school community as opposed to the community at large. On the other hand, I think that there's a question there about whether it's important to have a school. There
In
is a
each town.
school in each town, essential to maintaining a generational, that's a great word, town. It's a community question. And then down farther, curriculum, and then the stakeholder groups, that's different. Curriculum stuff, I think that is for the school community specifically. And not for the community at large. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at my compilation there, and make sure that everything was covered. And we can always add to it, this is not, I hate the concept of a living document, because
Sometimes it's time to turn on the
educators,
edit.
it's just, we are really good at the living document, things that never end. So, so what I'd like to do.
Sorry.
What's it?
Should there be a clear understanding? I don't know if it matters or not. I guess this is something that the group needs to decide. Like, when we send a survey out, should we have an understanding of who filled that survey out, whether they are a parent or are they?
We have that kind of covered in the beginning of
An
the
example.
survey I'm gonna put up right now. Cool. And we'll see how that,
Yeah.
we put in,
Yeah, that
put
way we
in
can get
residents,
different
what town you
demographics,
live
which I think
in,
is
what's your,
beneficial.
they decided to ask about income ranges.
Yeah.
So the top part is in bold and underlined and whatever, because that is language that must change. I put it in a different color,
Okay.
Because it's a
My-
different district, because we have to change it to be us rather than the
right,
River Valley.
yeah, no, I like to
different.
mark, usually what I do with the documents, change the whole thing to a different color ink, and then as I fix things, they go into black. And once it's all black, then I know everything has been addressed, but I can't do this in here. So ignore that. So in this, it looks like you've started already, or did you start?
I started.
Okay, so option 4 is out. Can we get rid of that while we're here? I'm assuming
Well,
that.
my wonder though, I wanna push back on that. Are
Okay.
we also surveying Granville and Hancock
Right,
families?
I
And
agree.
because they are a significant piece of this
100%.
financial puzzle. like their tuition dollars do make a huge difference.
Can't you just
Or
like,
What about
and this
Pittsfield?
is a designated,
Well,
your schools are designated?
put Granville, I mean, just put it there.
Original
I have
Quincy.
like 20
We can put
Why is it
Granville and
they only
Hancock
go-
as opposed to
They don't
optional.
go.
Yeah,
Have a full school choice.
if that covers them all, it's only
Or would they
adding one
get a
line.
different survey,
Others-
different questions?
Right, or do
They
they
would-
get a different
I-
survey
Or
with
adapt-
different questions?
Adapted anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't, I'm open, I just
Pittsfield
wanna,
should
that
be
was
a
one of
part
my,
of that too.
correct. That was one of my stakeholder
What?
things, was surrounding communities.
yeah.
I think it would be a good thing to, like, if we could either send out to those, I don't know if we can send out to those communities a postcard, or just somehow make it possibly to, for them
I
to
think
know
it's
about
worth
it. Because sometimes some of these communities are so far removed since school choice from like actually what's going on in our towns. So like Granville is now like, you know, a lot of Warren students, but like, it's just like a good, like, hey, there is a school in Rochester and
Pittsfield, a
Stockbridge.
lot of them go to
Killington,
Killington.
exactly.
Well, and that's, I mean, and I noticed that in the stakeholders list that people had. I mean, that might be a different quickie in terms of finding out, you know, why they might choose a different school, what would make that.
What
In
would
this
bring you
case,
to
I think
us?
that this is about the folks who actually vote. And if Granville and, what'd you
No.
say?
Hancock,
Hancock.
Pittsfield.
They don't
Um,
vote.
Are not voting.
But I think
that's
they play a
different-
valuable role in the board's decision-making for the future of the school.
Yeah,
So without having their opinion, it's hard for us to make a good decision.
would you be, yeah, so I'm not saying don't get that information. I'm
Yeah.
suggesting that it's a different set of questions, or we make a
Sure,
note right
sure.
now and come
Maybe
back
not
to
the
this
full
and
survey,
see.
it's maybe a shorter
And
survey
see,
for them.
yes.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be,
I have a
for
question.
them to be seen.
Hang on.
Again, I'm confused, I get confused very easily. I was under the impression that we're gonna have two separate surveys. One survey is gonna deal with the community and how they view things. And then there's gonna be the survey that really has to be geared towards the students and their parents.
Mhm.
Because they're gonna have different feelings.
Mhm.
Now, if you're a resident within and you have a child in the school district, you still get the community survey.
Right.
But then you'll get a second survey, and that survey is, what about what we're doing in the school, in the
Yes.
classrooms? Because they have the answers, I mean, I wouldn't
You're
know
absolutely
anything.
right. No, that is exactly
And that's when you
what's
send
happening.
that to Granville and, you know, you don't send it to the other, otherwise,
Yeah,
it just
no,
gets too
that's it.
broad.
Yeah.
And if we need a third one, we'll figure that out.
And there might be different questions of interest.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so get rid of other, because we're not having any others.
Got it.
You're there, or you're there.
And that's what I was asking before, is who are the stakeholder groups that might get surveys? So when we look at questions, it's easier to pull out which ones are more community oriented.
Well, it is, but that's what,
Family oriented.
yeah.
So are we doing
but that-
community lens right now?
Okay,
Right.
Sorry.
right now, we're just doing, yeah, I need you guys to focus. This is just community, that other stuff, we will deal with. I promise it won't get lost. I promise. So this was something that RUD wanted to do. They wanted to ask age groups, yay or nay. You know, I think that that's
Yeah.
a, okay, keep going. Then we went, oh, this particular question
Can I
took
just-
like 20 minutes.
You want to try to condense it so you have as few pages as possible. Can't we make the age groups like a little wider
Oh,
to eliminate some of the lines? In other words, keep
Yeah.
condensing
Okay.
where we can.
I'm just gonna write that note down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really,
even with
all we need to know is maybe generational. Like,
I'm just
General
really upset I
Why
moved to
the-
category
whatever.
5.
Are you writing this down?
Yep.
See, if we make it broader, you may go back to category 4. You'll make that.
Okay, I like that.
And same with the
Same with the income?
income.
yeah.
I think what we talked the most about was
10,000 to 70,000.
the 200, you know, how far up were they gonna go?
Yeah, you could just say 130 to 200 plus, or then 200 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just,
10,000 to 70 and 70 to 130.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
130 to 200. and
Perfect.
200 plus.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want a copy of the survey to write stuff on it, Lindy?
So
Yeah,
considering
that actually
right
might
now,
be easier.
Households anywhere from
Two
10,000
computers,
to
sorry.
70,000, they're still struggling.
Okay, so this was getting at, remember, this is the community. So I think, don't know, was it Katie? I don't know who was talking about, you know, summer homes, people, you know, who are these people?
Second home ownership, Airbnb owners.
Some of these questions were
Who went in
particularly
there?
of interest to W. Rudd School Board,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like some of the questions that you'll see were reflective of
Let's wait till we get there.
concerns that came up with the merger, et cetera.
Yeah, no, but these are, so are, is this information that you want?
Foolish question. Do second homeowners vote?
It's a good
They
question.
pay taxes.
No.
No, but they have to register to vote in one place and one
Yeah.
place
Right, so
only.
that's probably in their primary residence.
Yes.
So
So,
it probably doesn't matter then.
correct.
Interesting. I wouldn't have considered.
Yeah.
So-
Depending
Why
on
does it even
taxes
matter?
and retirement.
Because you can only vote. So it's almost like we should go to the town clerks and get the mailing list for both towns.
And
The
that's
voter
all we go to.
registration, the voter registration
That
list.
makes sense. Cut right to it.
The voting.
But some people aren't even registered to vote.
But let's look at the numbers. When you had the presidential election, you had over 1,500 residents between Stockbridge and Rochester vote.
It's a lot of
When we do our school board, we have 135.
Yeah.
So I'll take the 1,500 and be thrilled if I miss,
If we get 900 out of it.
if I miss 10%, I don't even,
Right.
great.
Yeah.
This would be a boon to get it out to 1,500 potential voters.
So do we want to take out then, like, the people in the summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yep.
think it's not going to
They
matter.
don't have the ability to vote.
So let's just go right
It
down.
saves us money on the mailers, too.
Yeah.
What do we keep it?
Yeah.
I own a primary home?
Well, we'll know that.
Yeah, we're sending.
You'll
No,
know
that's not
that.
true, that's not true, because a renter could be a registered voter
Right.
in the town, so you can't say, so that's still a good question.
How is
But
knowing
do
if
you
they
care?
own a business helpful in Rochester or Stockbridge?
It's not.
Well, didn't you identify that as a stakeholder, business owners? Is that?
Was that on the
Or a
list?
stakeholder.
I'm gonna look at this.
Like,
But
for
you still
example,
only
we
get
have a
one-
person-
Doesn't really matter, right? Yeah.
You only get the
so
one
it's
vote, so
identified
if
as
you own a
stakeholder.
business and you live in Stockbridge, you can still get the vote. If you own a business and you live in Rutland,
Yeah.
don't matter. So
Doug,
the
what
bus-
were you saying about this?
I think going between the primary and renters, like, is your primary residence in Stockbridge or Rochester? We don't have to ask all these other.
So let me ask you this, because there was a lot of, we've stuck Rochester and Stockbridge in there, but these were actually designed for the RUD. And they were after some other sort of information. Is this information that you really need?
I don't think we need it.
I'm not sure you do.
Seems thick.
No.
Because they
Because
were,
it says it
they
at
were
the
after
top.
some other stuff, so let's
Right,
just
you're-
pull it
you're-
out.
You're admitting that you're a Rochester or Stockbridge
Right.
or other resident.
Because
it
you
says it
are-
at the bottom.
yeah.
It says it at the
You
top,
are-
you're
I
a
mean,
resident
It
of.
doesn't really matter if you're renting.
You're a
So
voting.
we can
Unless we-
Especially if
unless
we do it
know
through the
that-
voting
feeling.
registry.
Well, maybe
Hang on.
Maybe the question needs to change. I'm a voting resident.
No, but I'm
of
just saying, if we
Stockbridge.
use the mailer for the voter registry, we already know
Okay,
that they fit in that category.
Patrick,
No, I'm just wondering if at all, I mean, I don't think we need to know it through the survey, but if we have a clear understanding how many homes are second homes, I feel like it, I'm just wondering, does it affect our schools in any way? You know, like, that demographic, you know?
well, is that, okay, so would you want that demographic in the survey, or is it just knowing that information, which we could get from the town clerk?
And that's what I'm saying. And
So
what I'm
maybe it's
saying,
just
is
the
it
town clerk.
useful to have that provided to the board? I'm just wondering,
I think you can do it without surveying,
yeah.
making
Okay.
a survey question.
Because
I
we can
think
always-
We can just request
Town
that
clerk is
information
another source.
and then put it in our,
I'm not saying, like, what I'm getting at is I don't think it's useless information.
Right.
And I don't think it's necessary for
I don't
this.
think
So
it's gotta
someone can
take up
identify.
half a
Yeah.
That's
page.
kind of where I'm
It's a
going.
lot to sort through too, to get at what you're trying to get at.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so we're,
What I'm getting at is how can we expect two schools to be successful if 60% of their residents are second homes?
Right.
You know, I don't know what it is, I'm just throwing a number out there.
Yeah.
But you just look at the student population
You know,
within the two schools.
yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to your survey. Come on.
Let's keep going, all right. So the next one, so this has to be revised, because again, this was, that little blurb there was written for, RUD. But, so this was about the board of directors. Now, do you want to know about your board from the community?
know that that was the charge.
I don't think that's connected.
I feel like, yeah, knowing how the board operates seems as we've kind of litigated this out over the
Well,
last few
it's,
years.
you're sharing the data reports with the board.
Fairness.
Well, the board's asking for the task force, right?
What's that?
The board's asking for the task force and for us to.
Right.
And
But this is also, this is another way to ask about communication.
If I scroll
I
down,
mean, do you
right?
think your town is represented at the school board now that you are?
I think it's
One.
useful.
On the local school board, yes, maybe not the district-wide.
Yeah, I was
Not
kind of
the
thinking the
the
same thing.
giant SU one, but.
Most people aren't involved with the SU.
That's what I'm saying, I think it would be
But they
useful
make
for
decisions.
our SUD, for our district, if we.
No, that's
Yeah.
different, I agree. I'm
Yeah.
saying the SU, this is
Yeah,
about the SU.
yeah.
I mean,
Can the sentence be a little longer, just saying I'm satisfied with my town's representation on the board?
Mhm.
Because I
Yeah.
didn't understand the question when I first.
Yeah, I
Right.
think
Or is it explained above, and when it gets
it'll help, but
revised?
no, that's fine.
But that,
You can
it's
put
gotta
that in
then be
right
for
now.
RSUD.
Right.
Yeah, to make
Right,
it the
yeah,
RSUD.
yes.
Yeah,
RSUD,
just
right,
make it
change
our
it.
SUD.
Yeah, you can't keep it
Yeah,
this way.
no, that's why it's bolded and underlined, so we don't forget, because it's specific, right?
Yep, no, we
That-
can do that.
It is different, that it's 3 from each town. Board members are elected by Australian ballot, but right, Stockbridge residents can only vote for Stockbridge I can give you the whole spiel.
Yep.
So, are you saying in terms of the SU board,
I think
That-
it's our SUD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
you wanna stick to
Well,
this
it's simple.
RSA?
How many people here ever dealt with the the WRUD board?
No, the WRVSU, because we're part of.
No, I'm just saying, but with the student union, how many people here have actually went and said, so
Well, me.
I consider us to be involved. You've been to the supervisory union? Huh, okay.
I went to Jamie, but yeah.
Oh, no, I talked to Jamie too, but I've never been to any of their meetings,
I've been to meetings.
and I've never communicated with them. Okay, but 1, 2,
I was on the SU
You're on.
board representation for Rochester, and I don't think we were well represented back then.
Oh.
But that's a different
Right.
situation, that's a different board, it's not the TSU board.
Is that what we're getting at, though?
It's the
Here?
local.
I don't think the
local.
SU is like the
Okay,
comprehensive.
now I have
Right.
3 conversations going on, I
Regarding-
can't have it.
The SU as
What
well.
about, am I satisfied that the town's having this question on the survey?
Yeah, I'm saying,
Can
do
you-
you
can you
think we
guys
should
talk
stick
so we
with-
can hear? Can you guys talk so we can hear?
Yeah, I just feel like it's kind of one-sided right now, so I'm trying to get some other voices heard. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it, the whole point of the survey is to provide information to the board about what they're looking for, right? So, I mean, it's kind of it's in there, right? Like,
Mhm.
the representation of the board is the request for all this information, right? So if you're filling out the survey for the board, isn't that part of, like, isn't it
Yeah.
inherent in it that the board is interested in your feedback? I don't know.
Yeah.
feel
I
like
mean, I
this
would feel
chunk
that
feels-
way.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
chunk to me feels a little like redundant, I guess. I don't know, but if it's also valuable information because you are the board that's requesting this information and it helps you further on down the line, then that, we can leave it in there, like, but that's a slightly different agenda than this.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a board, we do each year, do we do it multiple times, like our own self-evaluation? But it would be helpful to have an evaluation from the community
Okay.
as a
Which
board.
might be,
Yeah,
I mean,
just
it'll
go back to
allow
Katie's
us to make
question
decisions,
of,
you
is
know?
it like right now, take a survey question, or is it a different thing altogether?
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah,
the answer, I'm just
yeah.
like devil's advocate. And thinking,
So, do we wanna keep
yeah,
the SU board questions?
what else, what are the other questions that
Yeah.
are part of this category?
Can
These all feel fairly redundant.
Yeah.
It's in my town students and
It's in my town
families.
I think
Aware-
that's a good one. I'd like people to,
The time and location.
yes, I think that sometimes people are,
Clueless.
yes.
I'm aware of the
willfully.
time and location, I'm adequately informed about the work of the school board.
Mm.
I have enough information about school board candidates to make an informed decision when I vote.
I think this is useful for the board.
Yeah.
I am potentially interested in running for a seat.
Which
Uh,
one?
that's
Here's the question
wrong
though,
board.
we're talking about strategic
Under that
planning
board.
yeah, for the future of the school district. We're
And
not
then
talking about the board, no, I get it, I totally
just
agree
think
with you that
it's
this is
totally-
useful information, but it
Yeah.
seems like it's
mixing.
sidetracking.
You're
our-
mixing, yeah.
and I
you're
think
mixing.
it'll bury
point.
the other questions.
Yeah.
I agree with you, it's useful.
Then
but
I think it's a
not-
separate survey.
I was just gonna say the
I
same
think
thing.
it's a school, a board evaluation
Separate.
survey.
Yeah.
But also that
Separate.
could also.
But then at a meeting, or school meeting maybe.
Yeah, school meeting.
Like like the board survey you could give out.
At the town meeting?
At the
Yeah.
school,
At the school meeting.
school meeting,
Yeah.
yeah. That way, that'll give you guys something to digest over the summer potentially.
And it's already
That's a great idea.
curriculum.
Yeah.
So it's green section, it's like.
Yep.
So is the move to take this section out altogether and save it for a different time and place?
It's,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay.
Great
But-
questions.
But keep it for you.
Yeah.
Keep the draft.
I don't wanna lose sight of that though.
Yeah.
I think
No,
that's
no.
useful.
I think I think people would really.
So,
like
we're
to
gonna
have
take the
that
whole
and wanna be.
board of directors section.
Out.
Okay,
And then that helps with the 25 pages.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right. That's what you're trying to do.
Okay. Scrolling.
all right,
Here we go.
moving on. So,
No pages.
voter and decision making.
I hate paper.
Again, this is a section that we have to,
Permanent.
Patrick, I'll be talking to you
Yeah.
about, or whoever wants to help with these. So this is about who's coming.
I also feel like this is, like, are we gonna, if someone hasn't shown up at a meeting, does their feedback value less than somebody who's come to
Right.
all five? Like, is this really necessary?
Right.
Does it really provide us with any additional information that is necessary to the survey?
Okay, let's keep going, because part of it was about, if you've not attended, what are some of the, what were the factors
Yeah.
that had it? Because, I mean, they have the same frustration
I
you
don't think
have,
it's a
that
negative
the folks that are
Yeah.
making the decisions is a very small
I don't think it's meant to be.
representation.
Might be because of work or other reasons.
Right,
that
there's a
sort of
whole,
thing.
no, go back up, please.
I like the,
That
part.
Oh, another one,
This one?
yeah. So this one, if there are annual meetings that you have not attended, select what factors contributed to you missing the meeting, select all that apply. No inconvenient, confusion, like, shake his head because it's long.
Yeah, for example, if it's childcare, then the feedback's there, and childcare can be provided, that's.
Right, that's what this was about,
Yeah,
trying to
that's
figure
correct.
out, because, I mean, it's leading
Just
to,
told us till 10 o'clock at night, it's a little problem.
it's leading, hang on. It's leading to, whether or not people want to look at Australian ballot, is where it's going. Now, my understanding is that you've already, did you do this once already? Did you actually vote on it and it was voted down in one or both towns?
Yeah.
Yes.
Last year.
How long ago?
This past July.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
That's
we're
when
probably not
100
going that route then, we could
That's
maybe
a lot
take
of
this one
questions.
out.
But that's one, see, I told you I disagree, so I'm gonna be the.
Well, maybe you don't even want this section in there.
Well, no. I just disagree because it was only 135 people that voted down the Australian ballot. That was the total count.
Right, no,
It's
that's
no
why
different
this
than the
whole
way our
thing.
country runs, from people representing us and voting.
Or is this part
No
of the
different.
school board?
I guess I'm trying to get this, I'm trying to get people more involved and not just say, oh, we discussed this, it was already voted down, so we're not gonna give the opportunity to people who may not have attended that meeting to cast a ballot or cast their opinion.
Sure.
So what does it say about the Australian ballot?
And is this similar to the first section where it would inform the school board directly on school board issues versus the task?
I mean, I'm going back to the
The charge.
charge, and its current successes, desires, and improvement ideas or strategies of the unified district to share in a data report. So, this may not, this may be more board. This may be another one that should come out.
I didn't put that.
Not lose it,
School
but-
meeting,
Well, and I do think one of the recommendations of this group in our report could be, we came across a lot of questions that we
Yeah.
feel like we still didn't get to, that are more
Yes.
board oriented.
Right, I would put this under a board thing.
Yeah, right, 'cause I do think,
Yeah.
like Patrick said, like people have said, it's definitely important information, but I'm worried
In
it's
order
gonna
for
get
us to be
other
a-
things buried.
efficient.
Yeah. Effective operating board. I think-
All this is important.
Yeah.
These should be
Yeah.
annual
Yeah.
I
questions
just think
you're
it's a
asking.
different thing.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going,
Okay.
get out of here.
You think, yeah, asking
Yeah.
you.
Like, I do like the questions, I think.
Yeah,
it's-
yeah, they're great, they're very good.
Well, like I say, we can get down the road and then sort of come back and chew on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get it more, and the same thing with taxes and spending, so.
The articles of agreement for RUD look very different than the articles of agreement that you all have. So these questions pertain directly to the articles of agreement from RUD. And it would make sense because it doesn't necessarily align to the charge of this group or the articles of agreement, if that was even the charge, which it isn't.
So I think that you could take a look at this one, but this is another one that may, in your case, belong more to the board. You know, just scroll down. And there was school spending increased to increase support and opportunities for students in our district. School spending should be lowered to decrease the homestead education tax rate.
We don't have any information.
Yeah. So this one could come out also.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's getting shorter all the time.
It's not very long because it goes to buildings and grounds pretty quickly. Hang on, I'll just get my notes here. Now, buildings and grounds, because you did have some questions about that. And this is when, do you have the questions you put together? Is that in front of you?
Yeah.
Because there's a section in there about facilities. So those were the questions that you were asking. You want to make sure that they're covered here.
How do you feel about your town's facilities and its appearance?
As a Stockbridge resident, which is the value of community outdoor basketball, tennis, pickleball, is running 2 campuses fiscally viable.
Okay, so what type of school events you have attended at either the Bethel or, well, Stockbridge, Rochester campus since the formation? Well, we can, I don't know if you're interested in that. Let's keep going so people have a sense of what this is about.
We do have those events listed.
Have you ever attended community events that were held on school property?
I feel like that should be.
Have you ever
That should
used,
be a lead question.
what's
Have you
that?
ever attended community events?
I first, you guys gotta stop.
Okay.
All right,
I gotcha.
now I have to get ugly. This is really hard to hear in this room, and I'm having a really hard time hearing. Katie?
I'm just saying that, have you ever attended community events should be the first, it should be the lead question
Okay.
for our.
And then is that a reasonable list that you want for the types of school events?
Wait, this? Absolutely.
I don't,
Yeah, here's some extras, Mary.
Oh, good. Thank you.
here's another one right here.
Here you go.
So the next one, have you ever used or thought to use the school grounds for community or family events? And then we did by campus, obviously this would be Stockbridge campus. And the rest of this, what's the rest of this question?
Wait, sorry, on these, is there a way we can put a thing that says, if no, why? And then it can be a write-in?
I think it's on Bethel campus, like, if
I'll look it up,
they
I
would
got
hold
it.
an event there or not. Right?
No, this is saying like on this campus, the building and grounds are well taken care of.
Oh, okay.
The building and grounds are adequate to serve our students' needs. The buildings and grounds are adequate to serve the community needs.
Okay,
It's the way that prints out.
sure.
And then the idea of putting a place where people could actually do some writing.
Like an
Up
addition-
here.
Yeah,
There, okay.
like for the family events, like, do people even know that that's something
Yeah.
you can do?
Didn't know we could do that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know you could do that either.
I just
Yeah,
accidentally.
you can rent this.
Oh, I see,
Birthday
okay.
parties, even.
Oh,
Your read it.
Funerals at the school.
Okay, so are these things that you want? This is mine or yours? I've lost mine.
Here's yours.
Thank you.
90th birthday.
I think the first one should be like, have you ever been to
Yeah.
either Stockbridge or Rochester School
Yeah.
before?
At the top of the section.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever attended community events that were held on school property?
Yeah,
Done,
sure.
yeah.
That's
it,
number
yeah.
one.
Yep.
Does that cover what you just said? Okay. And then do you want, indicate what type of school events you have attended? Do you need that?
Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, we could list off probably the events that we hold and.
I can check with
Is this
Lindy to
gonna
make
be
sure that
scanned?
this is the right
Just get
list.
What's that?
Is this gonna be scanned to tally up the votes, or are you gonna manually have to sit there and look?
No, this does it on its own.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so you want as few write-ins as possible, otherwise then you've gotta go.
Correct, correct.
Otherwise, you're gonna need
And,
to,
yeah, that's why it'd be nice to,
Right.
it can be a click and,
yeah.
What they
Yeah.
did was,
maybe AI.
at the end of each section, like at the end of this section, it'll say, please add any details to your responses to buildings and grounds you would like us to know. So rather than getting lots of short answers or comments on each one, at the end of each section, there's an opportunity to
Well,
put details in if
I
you need
just
to.
said it jokingly, but
No, it's
if,
pretty.
with
It
the
was a pain.
detailed notes from the community, we probably could compile it all, throw it through AI, and AI will tell us what the community wants.
Which we have done, and then we did some of that. But there were some things that were missed. It was funny, they made a big deal out, we'd have one parent negative comment and it would come out as being much bigger. And so we've spent some time sort of digging to make sure that it was a fair representation.
Sure.
It's like, I thought I only saw that once.
Yeah.
Dig, 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 dig,
Yeah,
dig.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we only saw it once. So, no, yeah, you got it. So, keep going. I'm aware of the first, okay, this is definitely out. Proposed second, definitely out. And then please add any details. Was there anything on your list of facilities that didn't get asked?
There are
that
three
you would
questions.
like asked?
How do you feel about your town school facilities and its appearance? Is the first question that you all generated. The second is, as a Stockbridge resident, would you see value in a community outdoor basketball, tennis, pickleball court at the Stockbridge campus? And number three is running two campuses fiscally viable.
Well, and that was.
The other
Can I
one, maybe should we ask if people are aware of the work that we have performed through
Like
EEI?
the efficiency
Yeah.
work.
What's
Yeah,
the
the boiler,
question?
like the wood boiler.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
yeah,
just-
we updated
Okay,
all the lighting
We have our own
here.
version of those two.
So the lights go out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just also mention the gym in Rochester feels like a cemetery of basketball games of yore? And is the community attached? I'm sorry. but
No,
it just
I
bothers me.
chuckle,
No,
like,
it
I
bothers-
chuckle.
The Chelsea Devils don't exist, like it just feels like, is the community still attached to some such things? And are we ready to let go and let it be an elementary school?
I'm all for it.
Like having
love-
basketball hoops that are low enough for the kids to play.
These
on.
are high
You
school,
like the
right?
adjustable ones,
It's,
yeah.
adapting
Kills
the
me.
space, and the space just feels so massive, and, there are a few kids whose, dads did get the 1,000 points, and that's exciting to see your dad's name on the wall, but it feels to me like a cemetery. It just feels because the
I
high school
mean,
doesn't
maybe
exist
the way we
anymore.
can kind of respect that is taking photos of the walls and then having a framed photo of it.
Exactly.
That's a
you
good
know?
idea.
Are we open to
I've
I've never
other
gotten, I will
possibilities?
just share with this group, I've never gotten more community emails than when we emptied out the trophy case in Rochester. Where did those go? What did you do with them? Why would you take them out of
I
here?
don't even know.
Like, because they came in to watch their grandkids play basketball. Like, I was like, I don't even know who this person is and how they connected, which is okay.
yeah,
Suzette?
yeah,
It's
mascots
just
are it's the
Suzette,
most difficult, yes.
are we getting off track for the community survey though?
Well.
It is a
I-
community
I-
question,
now,
though.
this
I've-
what-
it's
yeah,
been burning
what
for me
Amy
for
has
a
for
while.
community question is
Yeah.
decent. Wait. Can
It's
you
been burning for
restate-
me for a while. I don't know how to
Just in terms of whether or not people are well.
The space, I don't know how to phrase it, but it doesn't feel like necessarily an elementary school space. It feels like the shared gym of a high school that doesn't exist now for 7 years. The school isn't there anymore.
Mhm.
So while I want to honor those things that existed, is there another option? I love the idea of a photo. It's a little bit simpler and clearer.
Takes up less
If
wall.
anybody wants, their name with 1,000 points, those things. So how do we ask to say, are we open to, so that you don't get all these responses of where's the bean pot from 1920? Yeah.
On March 6th at Bethel, we're having a community conversation around Wickham Past,
Mhm.
White River Valley Middle School forward.
I love it.
To have those conversations,
Mhm.
because even if
Maybe
it is a
that's it.
minority
That's it.
view,
Yeah,
even if
perfect.
it is a minority view, it's such an emotionally charged concern that it deserves to have a deeper conversation. And also for the school to say, we had a community conversation, it wasn't just a survey, we really wanted to hear from you to come up with solutions, and kids are gonna be there to come up with what to do with the bean pots and actually have projects that kids are doing to possibly capture the oral history of people whose names are on those banners. So,
I mean, if you want your name with 1,000 points, you take it home and you have the quilt on your bed if you desire. Yeah, but it doesn't relate to a 5-year-old right now in kindergarten. They don't understand. It's not, so they should be seeing, in my mind, it just feels like a facility.
So is
I agree
this,
with you.
so if we were to go asking about that, then we've opened up the whole notion of, closing a school, blah, 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 blah,
Space
blah.
Is that-
usage, appropriate space usage.
That,
How is that about?
that's
opening
really
a school?
a leap forward, though.
No, I'm just putting,
We can't put any idea like that out on the table because the general public's not educated enough to know what the possibilities are, what the effects are. So to just ask a flat question on a survey, anything to do with that, is a major mistake because I think it'll be a misleading response.
Yeah.
What if it's a question like, would you attend a community conversation about facility usage in Rochester? Or something to that effect, so that it's just opening up to a conversation
Yeah.
about the facility.
I just think the board needs to make some sort of presentation to the community first. Has to come from the board and filter down into the community. And I think that they have to take the lead, and it's a very unpopular topic to bring up.
The old signs that are up, you mean? Or-
No,
Okay, 'cause
I'm
that's what
talking
more
about, we're talking
specifically
about
referring to.
consolidating,
So-
she was bringing up
Yeah, I heard
consolidating
Yeah,
the-
no.
the campuses.
so, in the next section,
Sorry, I have a quick question.
they have a similar, go ahead,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I thought we were moving on to the next section, but I have a question about
Well,
that passage.
Yeah, no, I just want to tell you what's in the next section, we can stay there. And that is that Bethel and Royalton are having similar, not to close the school, but they're wanting to move kids, they're still wanting to move kids. They want the middle school to what is now the high school, and that elementary school would come back over to Bethel. So they're having the same kind of
Oh, wow.
walkie thing. So they ask questions like, is it still important to maintain an elementary school in each of your towns?
Yeah.
If combining elementary schools would save money, that would be more important than maintaining elementary schools in each town. So we can talk about that, but that's the kind of,
And those
that's
are
the
terrible
kind of
questions.
thing that, and we got
Depends on
some
the US.
interesting, more positive responses actually than we thought we would. So back up, because Katie has some
Sorry.
questions, we're not done up.
Is the school actually interested in opening the school up to community members coming in here and hosting events?
We do have a rental, so I'll say when I first started pre-COVID, right, we probably got requests for community meals, rentals for birthday parties very frequently. And then COVID kind of deterred that, because we had to like tighten things up.
Yeah.
And so now it's kind of back out there, but we've never like re-advertised.
Does it actually have a budgetary impact? Like, is it?
Sometimes,
does it go
so the
directly
best
to the
example
school?
is Suzuki.
Oh my God, that's huge.
In Rochester, which is a camp that runs the week after the 4th of July, and we get actually paid per kid that enrolls for a rental, and it ends up being like a $1,500 to $2,000 line of like revenue each year.
Directly to the school.
Directly to the school.
But people also, you can rent this room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when I first started, people used to rent this room for like birthday parties.
Yeah, yep, that is something,
Yep.
yeah.
No, and that's, I mean, that really contributed being a real
Community.
working
Yeah.
community, yeah.
Yep.
I had a wedding in my elementary school.
Oh, wow.
I had to say no to the alcohol, but,
Probably were not the popular.
but it was not, it was a dry wedding, so it was all good.
Expand on that question?
Yeah, because I didn't
So-
know we could
I had
do
no idea that was even an option. And
Right,
then
so like just half the
if-
community.
which
if
one?
people, like,
Hang on.
on the question that's like, would you come to an event or whatever it was?
Yeah.
This one, have you ever used
Or
or thought to use
Thought.
this?
Yeah.
Did you know?
Should we ask them what they, like,
Did- and-
what they would be willing to spend, or no?
Well, also, like, do we wanna open it up to do a community, like an open house so people can see the space, or, you know what I mean? Like, cause people don't even know it's an option, and then they don't even know what the space is, but that's, to me, it feels like we have to rephrase that question to make it, did you know that this is an option
Yeah.
to do? And
Just
if
run it through
so,
the website.
do you wanna see it? Or like, would you,
Yeah.
Would you use it?
use it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So did you know, sorry, trying to capture that.
I mean, couldn't you have that on the website too?
A link.
Like a link to rent and show the space with photos
That's a
and
good idea.
And have it
reserve,
linked
That's
to
for
a
the
calendar.
future.
email Lindy
Yeah.
to reserve.
That's the future, and we can certainly, I mean, that's certainly, an idea or strategy for revenue.
Yeah.
So not
Did you
Yes.
know
necessarily
you
here for
could,
strategy,
Right.
but, what was I gonna say? I have no idea.
school grounds,
Let's move on. We good?
got it.
And you have it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got
Do
it.
we want to make sure these questions are in?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, so down to this one?
School structures, yeah.
Okay.
So the school structures, where did I put that? I think that was around the unity across communities is where the structure, where I plot that stuff.
Yeah.
And also down best future
Best
for the
futures.
schools. But this, may or may not, you may think that this is board work. Why don't we just give all the questions in this section? Still important to maintain an elementary school in each town. If combining them would save money, it would be more important than maintaining elementary schools in each town. Combining elementary schools would increase educational resources for students and staff. That would be more important than maintaining elementary schools in each town. And that's it, was those three questions was it. And we didn't ask for, we did not ask for any like written thing, because we just thought we'd get, folks, it would just be off topic.
Can I
But,
toss out the sixth grade aspect of things?
Yeah.
Or is
Sure, my
this too
question is,
soon?
do you want to go down this road
No,
with,
I wouldn't,
You do
because it's too vague. What are you basing that decision on?
well, I think with the community,
But
go ahead.
Go ahead,
this is so the board can then make decisions. So with that, we can then look into whether it's going to save the community money. Are they interested in it if it's going to save money? Now, we go back
How
and we
much
say,
money?
how much money are they gonna save?
Right,
But are we gonna invest our time into something,
yes, I think the board should. Without
not unless the
knowing-
community wants us to?
Without knowing the answer to that question, yes.
It's gonna be a back and forth thing. We need to know from the community. We need to then
Okay, I hear you.
compile information and then share with the community again. And then get their opinion based on that.
I mean, these are questions that are discussed at PTO meetings. These are questions that are asked by community members, whether or not we're asking them in a survey. These are the questions that people want the answers to.
They're already talking
They're
about it.
already talking at this. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know why we wouldn't
Yeah.
put out a question
Give
that's been
feedback.
already very much part of our conversations in our town.
So you're saying they already know that they want to know the answers to these
I
questions?
think that this is the questions that I get asked when I was a school board member. I think as a community member who's still involved with the school, I think that these are questions that I get asked by older people in my community. How is the school doing? What are we doing? These are definitely questions, and they're concerns from the older folks in my town. I think they want to know. I think they would like to let you know that they would like to have their elementary school or not have the elementary school, because I think they do have opinions, because I think they're very well, given that what we've gone through with Act 46, closing our middle and our high school, I think this is, pretty, still very surface for us.
It's so fresh.
Yeah.
Well, what this did was, and these questions were repeated in the school community survey. And we were, Bethel and Royalton were surprised. We had a lot of people in both the family, in the school community and the community at large. We didn't have a lot of participation, but the majority were saying the second one, if we combined them and it would increase educational resources, that would be more important than maintaining elementary schools in the town. So what they found out from the folks that responded was that it felt like the communities had moved. In the last 5 years, there had been a shift.
But I
And
also-
so they'll take that and decide what they're gonna do with it and how much
I
money
like that
they'll go with
approach.
it. But that was the sense, was
Yeah.
just that, ooh, there's something else rustling around that people aren't maybe saying out loud because it's not popular.
I feel like, this is just as an educator in the building, two things really are important that I think are also valuable to bring up right now, which is the the idea of merging grade levels so that there can just be one grade level, one teacher, and sixth grade school choice. And I don't know if this is the time, but as an educator, I feel like those are super important questions
Yeah,
for the longevity of keeping people and not burning through people, and
No, I agree with you
you know,
100%.
it's not good for, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, and
I just don't know if this is the time, but those
I'm not
things
sure
are,
it is.
those things are so important.
No,
what do you
What's
think?
that?
questions.
I think we should be asking those questions. I think we should be asking whether they think we should close one, merge into two, or is there interest in merging grade levels, maintaining both campuses, giving the kids a better education, and retaining staff members that want to stay because they're not teaching 3 grade levels, they're teaching 1 for the same amount of money. And
Well, they're just able to plan better too, and just
Yeah.
really get into
Well,
to the.
So
I think it's
my
important.
only question is that something that the community
Is that a
can
community or
legitimately
school
weigh in
community?
on? Because
Or is
it
that a
has to
family?
do
I
with
think
the
that's-
inside organization of the school.
I do because of the financials.
Or is it,
It's worth getting the opinion of the community, right?
school community? That's my only question. I mean, you can ask them in both.
Patrick?
But I think we can do it here because, like I say, if you're gonna ask demographic as far as age groups, what town they live in, we should be asking whether they're a parent of a student currently. Then automatically we know when we get that information, this is what the school community thinks.
No, but that's a separate survey.
But that's a
Right, I think
separate
we
survey.
said it would be 2 different
Community.
You
ones.
gotta
This is community
separate, this is community.
This is like to be in front of,
These questions and yours, those two, and anything else you wanted that was more in the inner workings, would
I got
be in the school community survey, which is faculty,
For parents,
staff,
yeah.
parents.
But I think it affects the community.
Okay.
I'll also say,
No.
as somebody who had a kid in a different district that then came to Stockbridge, I was super hesitant to send my kid here because of the combined grades.
Because of
And
what?
Because of the combined grades, like
Yeah.
because
Right.
grades are combined and kindergarten and first graders are so different and they're in the same classroom. And like it really was something that I was super hesitant about and it was a deterrent from the district and I don't think people are aware of it. Like I don't think it's something that is widely known unless you have a kid.
And that's where I'm saying it's nice to get the feedback from the surrounding communities such as Pittsfield, because would
That's
we
different.
be gaining
Yes.
more Pittsfield residents if we
Absolutely.
merge grade levels?
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
that's different.
Right.
I
How
would-
is it
I would
different though?
challenge.
I guess I'm,
Because and it's yours, and I'm gonna stop arguing with you in a minute.
I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, no.
Find out the
I think that if, the question of like if you were to put elementary, the primary grades in one building and the intermediate grades in the other building, if that's really a fiscal question, which I'm not really sure it is, then it makes sense to me to ask that in a fiscal way to the community at large.
So.
But if it's
yeah.
about, because what does the average, I think what you were saying, Katie, is important, but you came here, you were super nervous about it because you were a parent and you were coming into the school community. Somebody who has no children, whose children are grown, they've moved to this, what information would they have to be able to give you an informed decision about whether or not that's a good idea?
And I have a question for Patrick.
Closing a school is a whole different deal, because that's gonna happen in your community. But whether or not you have, grades 1 through 3 and 4 through 6 in your building, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe I'm wrong.
But how
But
do we
that's
know
what I'm trying to do this.
who in
Hang on.
Pittsfield has kids and who doesn't, enough to know? Like, he's a kindergartner, so did we even know they existed? Is part of it too.
Yeah, we came into work.
Was that? Well,
Yes.
yeah, I get that.
References.
Yeah, I remember that.
Pre-K,
But
yeah.
do we know how many other families are in the hills that might potentially have that? Do you see what
I
I'm
mean,
asking?
this is,
But we're getting off point, again, what we're supposed to be doing here tonight is really dealing with the community. And now
Yeah.
we're talking about how to attract people from outside of the community in. I don't think that's part
This
of
is
this
just going-
survey.
No, this
yeah,
is
yeah,
real.
done. Yeah, that makes sense.
Megan.
Okay.
I just wanna, Rochester, I think, I think if you're gonna put if the question's gonna be put on, I think there will be big decisions for people in Rochester. if there was to be K through 2 here and 4, 5, 6 in Rochester, because I think we're in a unique situation. Rochester has a lot of tuition students from Granville and Hancock. They're not sending their kids to Rochester.
Got it.
If
Okay,
they had to,
that's
so
all I
that,
needed.
there is something that has to be
Done.
said, like, for that, yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
So, Patrick,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Keith.
I had a question for Patrick and the board, and it really addresses something you said. We, the people of Rochester, are very sensitive about the concept of possibly closing a school, because they went through closing the high school, which I'm sure
Middle
was,
school, yeah.
and the middle school, which I'm sure was a big deal. The reality of it is, if our district was to come together and say, what are we gonna do? We need to consolidate with what's going on everywhere. It's the Stockbridge district that would end up being closed. I mean, you got a bigger building over there, you got more facilities available, the gym and what have you. So you have more potential at that building. This would be the building that would be closed. So if we put any kind of question on the survey about closing a school campus, people in Rochester are gonna vote it down unanimously, probably. It's really a Stockbridge issue that I think the board would have to address when you look at it.
So Patrick, back to what you are wanting to add.
I guess, as a board, these were things that were part of our concern. And these are things we wanted to know to
Yeah.
be able to move
Yeah.
forward with the future of the schools. One being having a clear understanding of whether, say, like merging grade levels. Like, we had this discussion, we believe there would be savings, but not a lot of savings, but we would be giving the kids and the staff and faculty a much better,
Yeah,
smoother education with the resources we have.
got it.
But
So when
if
you
we
say-
did that, would we lose Granville? Because they're so far away from Stockbridge? Would we gain Pittsfield because they're interested in that?
I don't think
Right.
I think the LinkedIn name taking.
And that,
Yeah.
we can't get off of this survey, but that would
Yeah.
give us information. So when you say merged grade levels, are you talking 1 through 3 and 4 through 6?
So for
with-
instance, here, you would be able to have pre-K at both campuses. You can have first, second, third here, because you have that many classrooms.
Pre-K and K in both?
No, you
Pre-K.
could do pre-K
Pre-K.
in both, you could do a K, you could do a first, and you could do a second.
Here.
Second.
Have the younger kids here, older kids in Rochester. And that way, at some point in their education, they're going to the next
Yeah.
town.
Got it. Okay.
But Jamie said, he goes, yes, we're going to be able to provide a better education with the resources we have by
Yeah.
doing that. So that's my question is that step one before we merge and close a school?
Just gonna quickly toss out, I've gone through the closure of Granville and Hancock, I was the teacher there,
Yeah.
right? But we didn't do it with the younger kids and the older kids, we actually mixed it, just tossing it out there. So it was 6th grade was able to interact with kindergarten in the same building, and that actually helped the 6th graders a lot. I just want to toss it out there. So maybe it would help if it wasn't just the younger and then the older, the
I-
primary and the intermediate
Yeah.
separated like that, but rather mixed together.
I have a question on numbers. So even if that's like a proposal, there's a cap, right? So like Henry's class is mostly kindergartners and there are a couple of first graders. How many kindergartners, like there would be a cap, right? There would have to be some sort, and then what happens to those kids? Is it a lottery? Then do you have to deal with all of that? Like, like if there are.
You mean a number of kids that can be in?
So if you combine this and you have one kindergarten and it's here at Stockbridge and the Rochester kids are coming over and there happens to be like a larger number of kids, let's say it's 23, 26?
There are 9
The,
You know the numbers.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
yeah, you're
But
kind
I'm
of,
just
This is a
saying-
really good question.
there is
It's coming.
educational quality standards
Right.
that
So-
say,
Why you have them in both.
Yeah.
You might be safest to have them in both.
yeah,
Suzanne,
and then when you
Yeah,
add it
that's
to
right.
Suzanne,
And I think with the numbers we
Make things
have had,
go along.
I-
wouldn't be exceeded.
would it make
But
sense
if
for
you're
you
allowed,
to
if you're taking.
email us what
I'm
we think
gonna-
is the current survey
I'm-
and then comments back instead
I'll
of?
tell you what I'm gonna do. So, we're almost there, we're down to the wire. The next section is on communication.
What?
That's very good, okay. So I'll change the names of all these. So, I don't think you have a wildcat. Do you have a wildcat? Do you have a school community that you call it? So we'll just get rid of that. But the schools are connected to the community as they were before the merger. Does that make sense to you?
That was one of the
Or our
questions that
civics,
you had.
I think that's a good
That's a
question.
good question.
Cool, okay.
I
Also,
can hear
sorry,
What?
this is a community school, right?
Right.
So, I don't think people know what that means or have any idea what the relationship is between, like, people outside of the school don't have an idea about the community school aspect of it, or like the relationship between the two, like how
Well, I think what this question was getting at, and maybe it's just not well
it's defined as a community school.
worded, is that when they were in separate towns and separate schools and everything was separate, communities felt connected to their school. Well, since the merger, are you still feeling the same thing? And it might very well be the same thing here because the makeups of the schools didn't really change
Well,
Did for
as a
Rochester.
result
We
of
lost-
this
we lost-
merger, not the closing of
we lost
Rochester.
7 to
Well, that was
12.
part of, so
Oh.
they're gonna have a very different reaction
Yeah.
from just, I mean, I just know from talking to people, like, they don't feel connected to the school
Okay, well,
because.
we need to know that,
Yeah.
Because there's no sports.
Because there's sports.
Where's the theme park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because there will
We've
be,
lost so
No
much.
banners in this multi-purpose.
okay.
Can't relive my history.
Keep going. Our schools are as connected,
Right?
yeah, okay, schools do a good job of making me aware of events happening at the school, and then we just will use 2 schools.
Yep.
The next one, what kind of information about the schools are you interested in receiving? And I'll go over this list, there's a list. Arts, athletic, test scores, budget, student, school awards, volunteer opportunities. I'll go over this with Lindy to make sure it's appropriate. And then communication with the community can take many forms. Which of the following methods would you find to be most useful? Do you use the Randolph Herald or do you use another local paper?
No, Randolph
Use the
Herald.
Herald.
They still make that?
The Randolph Herald, yes.
I've got it in my truck right now, the fresh copy.
Online as well.
That is gospel.
All right, no, wait.
To the point, she gets the weekly newsletter.
Okay. So the next one is an opportunity to try to find people in your community. Again, this is suggestions and strategies, trying to get, what folks have in your community that perhaps might want to come in and
Space.
share with the school. And then number 40 is Mary's SUI, her community conversations. Well, those aren't numbered, mine are, but. And then the please add in.
Alrighty.
So you want to take a quick look at your questions and make sure that we've got what you want in there? I think we do, because you were, there was something, oh no, that was in the family one, the outdoor education question you had, it was in curriculum.
With just the community lens on right
Yeah,
now,
just-
right?
just
Not
the
school
community
community?
I do think this question, are we being responsible guardians of our public resources, is a good question. Does it belong or not?
Which is that?
Are we being responsible guardians of our public resources?
Yes, is that in there?
I don't recall seeing it there, but I see it here.
So I have a question.
Wait a minute, let me finish with hers first.
Yep.
Where did,
It's under other?
It's
oh,
not a-
right, so it's not in here.
It's not, but I do think that's a,
It's,
No, I think it's a good question, I'm just trying to figure out where we would put it.
so why are we not doing all of it?
that last section we were just talking
I don't
about,
want to
maybe?
Put it
Oh.
at that bottom.
Uh-huh,
right in.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Of
And
course,
then is
this
there
is
anything
coming,
else you'd like to
thi-
add?
this is
Like
coming
one of
from,
those? Yeah,
this is coming from the task force and not the board.
I get it,
So that I think what we need to say is the board.
clear with the board,
Yeah.
what they think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So
Do you
I'm,
like
I'm just
this?
confused because we're kind of shutting down all questions that are directed towards parents.
The separate
The separate
survey?
survey.
Kind of.
But why is that a separate survey when it says right here stakeholder groups? They're a stakeholder group.
They are, and
Get
they will
this
get their
ready
own
for
survey.
town meeting.
This is just what we're trying to get done in the next 10 days. This is not the only survey.
Okay, so
It's
you're saying
entirely
you wanna
different.
put out just
The
a
community.
community-based survey for
Yes.
town meeting, and then we're going to do another one?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Maybe more than one,
okay, okay.
depending on
Now
that
I'm
stakeholder,
understanding your-
depends
your
on the
drive
list of
here.
stakeholders.
Okay, I was like misunderstanding, like, okay, so
Oh, I'm
we're
sorry. No.
defeating the whole purpose of what the board's trying to accomplish here.
No, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
totally on me. This is just for the community at
Just for the
large.
community meeting,
So that's
okay.
why I sometimes say,
Now I'm following here.
what can
Okay.
they contribute?
Can I just say how nice it is to have democracy though in a room? Like, I just wanna say that.
It is. So here's what I'm gonna propose. I need you to watch your emails, okay, if we're gonna actually do this. I will work on this tomorrow, and put in, and Lindy, I'll go
Yeah.
with you, and Mary, I'll be trying to find you, and we'll get this as close to, based on our notes, as what we thought people wanted. And then I will put it out, and I need you to go over it with a fine tooth comb. I don't want you, I will put you as editors, but please don't change anything specific in there unless you catch a WRUD that I missed.
It might be better to just have us as commenters,
Yeah.
so on the
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
Just,
yeah.
comment. Just comment. I mean,
Just
if you
comment.
say, nope, this isn't it, or can you change this word? That way, then I know, then I can keep track of what got changed. Otherwise, it's impossible to keep track of it. And those will be the rules always, is
Can we post it as a
comment.
Word document?
Can you what?
Can you do it as a Word document? Then we could edit
As-
we could just edit it and send it
No, I
back
don't
to
want you to just edit. Then I have to go through 11 different versions to figure it out. But if you comment, I mean, you can
Yeah,
put the
just add
edit in the
comment.
comment. I can cut and
Okay.
paste it if I like it, or
Absolutely.
if I feel.
Like right
But
in
you'll
the
see each
question.
other's. Then you'll see each other's comments.
So I guess I have two questions. So one being, what's the benefit of getting it out? If we're not getting a full survey out, what's the benefit of getting this survey out for town meeting? And does that mean now the postcards going out are not a full survey and we're just gonna have to do another mailer?
No.
Or,
No, but the way we would get the family folks is
Yeah.
through email, because everybody's connected.
Or
That
their
way, school
stakeholders. Yeah,
community.
okay.
We have a different way, and a different way that Lindy communicates with the school community on a regular basis. They're
Okay.
looking for that. This is different. That's why this is a postcard. Now, this does not, if you're feeling rushed, and I totally get it, because I'm a little crazy right now, I can try to make this work for you, but if you're feeling like it's not that important to get it out on town meeting day, then I can still do this work, and then when we meet in 2 weeks, we can shore this up, get it out, and feel better about
I
it.
guess like, I wanna know from, say, somebody like Keith, who doesn't have kids here, do you find that it's unfair as a community member that you're not getting asked those questions?
No, not at all, because I really shouldn't have input to what's going on specifically within the school. It comes
But if it
to-
affects the budget.
But there are other things.
It's
No,
not
that's
all
what I'm
black
asking.
and white.
Can I say, anything that you do in the school doesn't impact the budget that much one way or the other.
No, but a merge does.
Yeah.
or
Well,
merge
that's where you
agreement.
get serious, and that's where, that's why when I look at the merger, obviously, you can tell by my point of view that I'm in favor of merging the two campuses to Rochester, because I think having individual, a first grade teacher, a second grade teacher, a third grade teacher, is wonderful. I think that with the savings we have potential to do other programs to benefit the students without affecting the taxpayers. If the taxpayers aren't impacted, then you're not gonna hear boo from them. The board and everybody nowadays, even, not just in Stockbridge, Rochester, I'm talking about statewide, the big thing is everybody's fed up with the taxes. And that's really what's gonna cut in. And I'm afraid in a district like ours, we're gonna lose our sake completely. The state will step in here and say, oh, wait a second, there's 2 schools with less than X amount of population, close them.
Yeah, so, okay, then maybe, I understand what you're saying. So maybe then it is, we send the community survey, we do one to the parents, and then the board, with the information they gather from the community and the parents, can then say, okay, there is an interest from the parents to look at emerge or to look at merging grade levels. We look at that model, then we bring it to the community at large.
And you have to focus on Stockbridge, because we both know, realistically.
Okay.
I know, I'm not.
No, that's okay, I'm just watching, I promise to get you out. So, we don't,
So the
do you wanna
question
make
is
the
town
decision?
meeting or not
Is, do we wanna try to make town meeting, or do you wanna just, you did
Yeah, I feel a
an
little
amazing
rushed.
amount of work tonight?
Yeah, I almost like we should just roll it all out at once,
Okay,
either
Katie made
just
the
before
perfect point at the
the.
beginning.
What?
What? You made.
What are you gonna say?
The point that you made, saying, people are gonna, if we hand this survey out with no one there to answer questions,
Yeah.
it's gonna be confusing. You
I
made
feel like,
it,
I feel like an announcement needs to be made at town meeting about a survey that's coming.
We're
Right.
working on it.
Yeah.
That's it.
that's on.
Perfect.
Should we write a script in an email?
What's that?
A
And-
script to be said at town meeting in an email?
I
That we're
think
saying
at
the
town
same-
meeting and the school budget meeting, you should play the video you guys made.
Yeah,
Did we get the promotional video done for Rochester?
it is done, it's just not in like high graph form is the way I would say that, but it's done, high graph.
Awesome.
I think it'd be great
It's
to
a
share
little,
it.
it's like watching something without my context, it's what it.
That's a bummer.
No, it was really well
I feel
done.
like
Did you
it's
understand
You're on
what I
the
just?
marks.
I feel like
Okay.
still open-ended questions and. like,
Yeah,
let's
no,
Scrub
what-
that one more time as a team before
Yeah,
we like
absolutely,
produce a full.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll put this
Hospital
together,
time
I'm still
scrub.
gonna do that, and I've forgotten that, you know, in each section, there's a little, you know, sort of introduction to sort of set up what the next section talks about and some history.
Yeah.
And that will take a little time
Yep.
to do that and do that well. So I will have that ready for you to respond to in 2 weeks.
But what,
But I do
Try to
think
get to you.
before town meeting, we should figure out how we're disseminating this information. I think we should figure out the
Yeah.
cost of the mailer, what it's gonna cost for printing.
Yeah.
I think we should know that before we even go in there and say, we're gonna send something.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And
We
not
should
be able to.
know, yeah, we should know
but also
what's gonna
at town meeting, if we're announcing that it's coming, that there is a survey, what's the script? Like, is
Yeah.
there a paragraph that's going to be read that's the same in Stockbridge that is in Rochester?
Can
Your
we
call,
ask you
that's not
provide
me.
I think it's a good
No,
idea.
it's a great
Can we
idea.
ask
Just
you
sort of
provide that
agree.
information? They do a lot of mailers and,
Yes,
you know,
they can.
yeah.
You wanna call?
Work it, it could be
I'll
something.
put Jay, I'll put Jay.
Yeah, no,
there
those
you
are
go.
all things anybody can do. I mean, I'll do them, but, or Mary can do them, but, you know, the whole cost of the mailer and stuff, that's easy. That's just calling the office and
Yeah.
trying to figure it out. So I'll get that.
So is it more important to have a script together
I think
for
the
the town
script is,
meetings?
that is absolutely yours. So you.
But so there's
you can
no,
s-
sorry, there's no world where the district is gonna say, we're not doing this mailer, it's too expensive.
No.
Okay.
No.
Can we have like
Sure they
a,
go
maybe a
with
sheet of
fast when they
paper
did.
that people could take at town meetings, like explaining like that you are gonna get a survey, maybe not just an announcement, so like people that come late, you know, or picking up like their papers that usually are out front of the town meeting. You pick up everything, you read through them, I don't know, physical.
I'm looking at you guys because where I live does not vote from the floor, so my town meeting is like very, very different.
I think all we really need to do at town meeting is we need to
Just make it.
convey our charge,
Yeah, take your chart.
and how we plan to roll out a survey,
We need feedback.
when
from
they
the
can
community.
expect it, and that's, you know, the more we get, more engagement we get, the
Heck yeah.
the better off we'll be.
Yeah.
And I think the date is mid to end of March, is when, look for your postcard,
Yeah.
middle to end of March.
And you have to include something that says how important it is because of the environment that we're in. That it's very important for them
With
to
the
give us that
educational
feedback.
reform coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people pay attention to it outside of people that are involved in the school.
Yes.
But it's very scary.
Oh, yeah.
Just read the
Yeah.
bill today.
And I don't know if the general public realizes they could lose both schools in this district. And that's my fear.
No, they definitely don't.
So who's gonna deliver that, town meeting?
Not a-
So I
no,
need
just
to don't feel crazy about this.
When we get back from New Jersey, right?
I'll be in Rochester, I'm happy to stand up, I was just kidding.
I'm gonna be in Boston, so.
Fridays are usually.
But I think it'd be good if we had it written out, what we're going to say.
Yeah.
So I can attempt to put something together.
Yeah,
that-
you do,
that
you are a
I
writer.
guys. I may have been a writer.
Yes, you might have some skills.
I like that. You're way better at that.
Yeah, way better.
I don't do that.
I'll gladly read what you write.
I mean, I think I'll read, I'll put the charge there, but then also just say, look for your survey.
Okay.
Yeah.
To be
I'm sorry.
complete. Yeah,
I thought we
it's
were done
super
at the meeting.
simple.
I thought we were
but
just-
I'll
Don't
just
throw it out.
share it
Sign
with
it.
you. And who's got, which one of you are?
I'm gonna make it, I don't know what I'm doing.
What is it? It's
All right.
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
March.
kids don't have
Third?
school. Should we put a question in the survey about?
I could do it if need be.
I know where you're going.
Yep.
You guys good?
Good.
All right, you did an amazing amount of work. I really pushed you tonight, so
Well, we get the next meeting off.
congratulations, and we'll,
So now we're down to one a month?
and we'll, I'm not gonna promise, since we took the town meeting,
What did I win?
deadline off, what? I may not do this all tomorrow, since the deadline's off, but I'll get this to you with enough time for you to really look at it before we meet again, and then make your notes and make your comments, and
Goodness.
we'll get there.
Thank you.
But, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for putting
I
up
think
with
you
us.
have to,
Oh, yeah.
you have to adjourn.
Yeah, I'm gonna move, because it's really hard
did a
for
really
me
good
to
job,
hear
huh?
you from where I am.
You gotta put two in the middle.
Yeah.
I think you have to officially adjourn.
Adjourn the
Shut it
meeting.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meeting is adjourned.
It